Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT math problems out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 415. Page 415, and today is our lesson number 7. Problem number 6 is what we're going to solve. As I explained to you before, yesterday's video and the day before yesterday's video, in this particular section there are only 8 multiple choice questions. There are 8 multiple choice questions, and then 9 through 18 we have 10 grading questions. Because these are two different kinds of questions, 8 multiple choice questions and 10 grading questions, because there are only 8 of them, the level of difficulty goes something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The first couple of them are easy on the first page. The next page, the second page, think of this as the second page, are medium. The last page are hard. These are considered a little bit tricky questions. Number 6. So what I'm trying to make you understand is that even though they may be number 6, 7, and 8, because there are only 8 of them, on a scale of 1 to 8, 8 is 8. Is considered 8 is level 5 difficulty. Number 6. In question number 6, there are two concepts that they're trying to test here. They're trying to see if they understand two concepts. First concept is that the equation of a line written in a standard form looks something like this: y equals mx plus b. And I'm sure you have seen this before in your schoolwork. Y equals mx plus b, where this m that you see is the slope. So this is problem number 6. The second concept that they're testing in this question is this part right here. It says when two lines are perpendicular to each other, if I have a line here and another line meets at a 90 degree, when two lines are perpendicular to each other, let's say this is line L and this is line M. Let's not call them M because then usually letter M is used to represent the slope. It's just a convention, it's just a tradition, there is no rule. If you use letter N, nobody's going to come and arrest you. That's just a convention, that's just a tradition, and we're going to honor the convention. So let's not use M, let's call it line K. So here, the slope of line L times the slope of line K, it says when two lines are perpendicular to each other, as they are here, they make a 90 degree angle, the product of their slope should equal -1. That's what they're trying to say here. So here we have line L1 and line L2, they are meeting at a 90 degree angle, therefore the slope of line L1, which we are representing here with M with subscript 1, and the slope of line L2 with M with subscript 2, their product should equal -1. Those two concepts are the ones that we're going to have to put together in order to solve this question. So very first thing we need to figure out is the slope of the line that is actually given to us. Let's find it out. They give us the equation of the slope of the line L they call it. They give us the equation of it, which is x plus 3y equals 12. So what we're going to do is somehow manipulate it one way or the other until it comes in this form, where y is by itself. So let's subtract x from both sides and we end up with 3y equals -x plus 12. Notice I did not write down 12 minus x, although that would have been correct and more proper because it's better to put negative part afterwards. But here, if you look at the standard form, it has to be x with the coefficient, and then the constant. The constant here is 12, that's our b. And our m, as you can see, is going to be something here after we get rid of this 3 from here. Constant is not going to be 12 either, sorry, it's going to be 12 over 3, which is 4. So let's divide both sides by 3 now. We divide both sides of the equation by 3 because we want to get rid of this 3, and we end up here with -x over 3 plus 12 over 3. -x over 3 of course is same as -1/3 x plus 4. That -1/3 is the slope of the line. Let's call it m subscript L. That's the slope of the line. Now because their product has to be -1, we should realize that -1/3 times a positive third is going to give us our -1 that we're looking for. is going to give us the negative 1 that we're looking for. The slope product has to be negative 1. So this is the slope of the line M, and this is what we're calling the slope of line K, let's call it, which is going to, in the picture, the line looks like this. The line looks like this, and the line that we're talking about is something like this. So this is our line L, and this is our line K. And as you can see, 1/3 times 3, 1/3 times the 3 would have cancelled out, giving us a 1, but it's got a negative sign in front of it, so it's negative 1. So that's it. Now we have the slope. Okay, pay attention here. Now we have the slope. We know the slope of the line that we're looking for has to be positive 3, because the slope of this line turns out to be negative 1/3. Slope of the line that is given to us turns out to be negative 1/3. Therefore, the slope of the line that they're asking for would have to be positive 3. Now let's put down the answer choice and see what happens. Again, keep in mind, this is the standard form. All the answer choices are given to us in standard form. All we have to do is find one which has a slope of positive 3. Let's find it. In A, they tell us that y equals x plus 2. X plus 2 is same as 1 times x plus 2. The m is 1. The slope of the line that they're showing in answer choice A is 1. We're looking for a slope of positive 3. That's no good. B says y equals to negative 3x plus 2. This has a slope of negative 3. No, we're looking for a slope of positive 3. Because here, the line of the slope that is given to us turns out to be negative 1/3, and therefore negative 1/3 times the positive 3 would give us negative. This is what we're looking for. Whichever line is perpendicular to the line that is given to us, the slope of the line that is going to be perpendicular to it will have to be positive 3. This is negative 3. That's no good. C says y equals to 3x minus 6. There you go. There is our 3. That's our answer, C. In answer choice D, the slope is 1/3. This is the slope. That's no good. We're not looking for a slope of 1/3. And answer choice E is even more insane, which has a slope of negative half. Answer choice E is even more insane because it has a slope of negative half. That's not good. The answer is C. So that's it. One more time. First thing we have to do is write down the equation of the line that is given to us in a standard form. Once you put it in a standard form, you realize the slope of the line is negative 1/3. You ask ourselves what number multiplied by negative 1/3 is going to give us negative x. Turns out the answer is positive 3. Positive 3 and a negative 1/3 is going to give us negative 1. Once we realize that the slope of the line that we're looking for is positive 3, you just have to go through the answer choices and look for one answer choice which has a coefficient of positive 3 with x. Look for the one with the x coefficient of positive 3. That's all. Let's do the next one, shall we? In the next problem, what they are testing here, what they are looking for is a very simple concept, very elementary concept. In fact, so simple and so elementary that if I were to ask you that question, you will roll your eyes. Why the hell is this guy asking me this question? But I'm going to ask you anyway. What is a triangle? What is a triangle? Seems like an insane question. Probably nobody ever asked you that question. Probably you never gave it a thought. What is a triangle? A triangle is nothing but a detour between 2 points. That's what a triangle is. It's a detour. If I have 2 points here, let's say point A and a point B here, there are 2 points. I have 2 choices. I can go straight to point B and be done with it, or I can take a detour. I can make a stop in between. I can go to C and then go to B. That's a triangle. Or I can go to another point here and then go to B. Or I can go to this point and then go to B. All of these will make triangle. I can go to this point right here and then go to B. A triangle is nothing but a detour. Therefore, it stands to reason that the detour would have to be more than the most direct route. Detour would have to be more than the most direct route. Obviously, that's probably why it's called detour. Another way of putting the same thing, your math teacher, your geometry teacher will not talk like that. Your geometry teacher, I bet you, never explained to you a triangle in this manner. This is how the geometry teacher will tell you. What I put on the blackboard is the same exact thing I'm going to write down now in the language of your geometry teacher. The geometry teacher will tell you that the sum of two sides of a triangle, of any triangle, not any particular triangle, of a triangle, two sides of a triangle, of any triangle, is always more than the third side. One more time. Sum of the two sides of any triangle, doesn't matter what kind of triangle it is, whether it's a right angle triangle, whether it's an equilateral triangle, or isosceles triangle, or obtuse triangle, or acute triangle, it does not matter what the shape of the triangle is, as long as there are three lines coming together, joining together, the sum of the two sides will always have to be more than the third side. Why? This is the reason. Because the third side is the direct route. Again, one more time, I'm going to show you one more time here. Here's my point A, and here's my point B. I have two choices. I can just go to point B directly, or I can make a stop in between. There is a point C. And therefore, the length of this side and the length of that side, AC plus BC, would always be more than AB. I shouldn't put these symbols because I don't want you to think that somehow I'm talking about isosceles triangle. It doesn't have to be isosceles triangle. The length AC plus BC would have to be more than AB, direct route. And that's exactly what they're saying here. The sum of the two sides of any triangle will be always more than the third side. This is the concept that they're testing in question number 7. A simple elementary concept is what they're testing here, and yet it qualifies as a level 3 question. I do not know why, but they have qualified that as a level 3 question. Let's do the question now together. Now that we understand what they're looking for, let's do the questions together and you will see how simple the question is. I need to erase everything here on the blackboard because I need the room, or perhaps we can do it over there. That's from the last problem. So here, this is what they tell us. They tell us two sides of a triangle each have a length of 5. Well, if two sides have a length of 5, if each side have a length of 5, watch how difficult this question actually is. If you have a triangle which each side 5, then I do not care what this third side is. Whatever the hell it is, it's got to be less than 10. It has to be less than 10. The length of the third side cannot be 10 or more. If you tell me the distance from town A to town B, what you're telling me is that distance from town A to town B is 10 kilometers, or I can go out of my way to town C and then drive to town B and I will still drive 10 kilometers, that would be insane. That would be insane. If the distance from town A to town C is 5 kilometers and town C to town B is 5 kilometers, then it stands to reason the direct route from A to B, I do not know what it is, but it's got to be less than 10. It's got to be less than 10. And that's all it is. We are done. The question simply was, all of these following could be the length of the third side. All of them. Anything less than 10 could possibly be the length of the third side, but 10 cannot be the answer. Answer cannot be E. How can the distance between the 2 points be 10 kilometers? When you make a detour, you're still driving 10 kilometers. That's it, we're done with it. I don't want to beat the dead horse. Let's go to number 8. Okay? I don't know if you can read my handwriting. I'm going to erase it. I'm going to read it one more time quickly before I actually erase it. It says, what is a triangle? The intuitive answer, not the mathematical answer, not the geeky answer, not the nerdy answer, not the academic answer, not the geometry answer. The intuitive answer, the gut answer, the intuitive that you feel in your gut is, A triangle is nothing but a detour between 2 points. That's what a triangle is. Therefore, it stands to reason that the detour, any kind of detour, would have to be more than the most direct route, which is the same thing as saying the sum of the two sides of a triangle will always, always, always be more than the third side, regardless of what kind of triangle it is. Do you understand? Number 8. Number 8 is a nasty one. Number 8 is not a pleasant one. It's a level 5 question. Let's see what they tell us. Again, it's just a matter of understanding it. You understand? Obviously, if you understand the question, then it becomes very simple. But somebody, of course, has to explain it properly so that you begin to realize that this is not as bad as it actually seems. It says in an election, 2.8 million votes were cast, and each vote was for either candidate 1 or candidate 2. What they're trying to tell you is that there was no vote where they put down some third candidate or undecided. Each vote was either for this guy or that guy. In other words, all of the 2.8 million votes were counted for one or the other. Hold on, let's make a note. So the total is 2.8 million. We are told that candidate 1 received 28,000 more votes than candidate 2 did. Okay, so 1 had 28,000 more. What percent of 2.8 million votes were cast for candidate 1? Before we can answer what percent were cast for candidate 1, it will be easier for us to understand what this number represents as a percentage of 2.8 million. There are two ways we can go about it. Question simply now is, question simply is, for 28,000 is what percent of 2.8 million? And there are two ways we can actually solve this thing. One is to simply, for example, if somebody asks you 5 is what percentage of 50, we can just do 5 over 50 and come up with 0.1 and realize that that 0.1 is actually 10% because we should have multiplied by 100 because it's a percentage. If somebody were to ask you, 4 is what percentage of 16, well, you will simply do 4 over 16 and realize that that's the percentage. So when you come up with 0.25, it's actually 25%. It is 1/4. 4 is 1/4 of 16, which is 25%. If somebody were to ask us, 10 is what percentage of 200, again, we'll do like this, we cross out this, and 1/20th of anything is just 5%. Same thing we're going to do here. So one way to solve this question, 28,000 is what percentage of 2.8 million, is simply take the 28,000 and divide it by 2.8 million. Now you have to understand how to write 2.8 million. 2.8 million is like this, 2.8 times 10 raised to 6, or 2.8 times a million. Well, million has 6 zeros. But because it is 2.8, if you want to get rid of this decimal, move the decimal to here, we're going to end up using 1 0. So it's going to be 28 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to have 5 zeros. In other words, 28 times 100,000 is 2800,000. 2800,000 is 2.8 million. So it's 28 times 100,000. What do you notice? Watch what happens. Something is going to happen. Watch what happens. These 3 zeros are going to cancel out. This 28 is going to cancel out with this 28. And we end up with 1 over 100. 1 over 100. Which of course is going to come out to 0.01. But we realize that this is a percentage. Just like all the other 3 examples that I just did, we have to multiply this by 100. When you multiply it by 100, what we find is that turns out that 28,000 is simply 1% of 2.8 million. 28,000 is simply 1% of 2.8 million, not 28 million, 2.8 million. Another way we could have seen this thing, is to realize that 2.8 million is simply this guy right here. And immediately we see that if we were to knock out 2 zeros, we are left with 28,000. And what does it mean when you knock out 2 zeros from something? If I have 500, If you knock out 1 0, which means you're taking 1/10 of it, or 10%. If you knock out 2 zeros, you're taking 1%. 1% of 500 is 5. 1% of 500 is 5. That's probably why it's called 500. 1 out of 100 is 1%. Therefore, 5 out of 500 is also 1%. So this is actually 1%. That's one way we could have figured it out. Another way actually we could have figured it out is in a more traditional way, in a more classical way, by setting up an equation. 28,000 is means equal. What? We replace it with x. Percent means over 100. Percent means over 100. Of means multiply times 2.8 million. By the way, before I forget it, if you're one of those people who is very weak in percentage, if you have trouble with solving percentage problem, you can very easily take care of it. Just you are at the YouTube, obviously. Just type in my name, Keshwani, and just put in percentage problem or simply percentage, and you will see a whole bunch of problems there. Watch as many as you want or watch as few as you want, but you will get something out of it. There are some good percentage problems for practice. So that's it, we're almost done. Let's solve for x. But this is more cumbersome. This is not necessary. But the way we did before was quicker. But this is very complicated. So x is going to be, I'm going to save time now. So multiply this thing is going to become 28,000 times 100 over 2.8 million, which is going to be written as this. And that's your x. I'm skipping a lot of steps in between. And you will see that it will boil down to 1. This is going to be 1. These 3 zeros again cancel out with these 3 zeros. These 2 zeros are going to knock out with those 2 zeros. And this 28 cancels out with this 28. What are we left with here? What are we left with here? Don't say nothing. Nothing means 0. It's not nothing. It is 1. X equals 1. X equals 1. And that x part was the thing that you see in the box, which is what part. And we just found out that the answer to what is 1. So now it reads 28,000 is 1%, 1% of 2.8 million. But like I said, this is a very academic way, this is a very cumbersome way. The most direct route is what we just did earlier, is to set up as a fraction and just quickly realize that if you knock out 2 zeros from 2.8 million, you're left with 28,000. Now we can start the work. We haven't begun the work yet to solving the problem. We have just understood so far that 28,000 that he got, this guy got 28,000 more, which means that he got, candidate 1 got 1% more than candidate 2. Now what is the question asking actually? What percentage of 2.8 million votes were cast for candidate 1? Now listen very carefully. This is level 5 question for a reason. A lot of people will actually arrive as far as this. A lot of people will arrive as far as this, and this is where they're going to make a boo-boo. They're going to realize that candidate 1 received 1% more than the candidate 2, and immediately they will go with their instinct and they will say, well, therefore you will receive 51% because you received 1% more. Think about it for a second, okay? Think about it for a second. Watch this. Watch. I have $100. I'm going to give $50 to Mr. A, and I'm going to give $50 to Mr. B. And then I changed my mind. I said to myself, that's not what I want to do. I want Mr. A to have $1 more than Mr. B, because it's 100, it's a percentage. I want Mr. A to have 1% more. If I were to simply take 1 from this guy and give it to this guy, what will I end up happening? Think about it for a second. What would end up happening? This guy will end up having 49, and this guy will end up having 51, giving me a difference of $2. That's not what I wanted. I want candidate 1 to have 51% of the vote. The question is, what percentage of 2.8 million votes were cast for candidate 1? We know that candidate 1 received 1% more vote than candidate B did. We just found out that 28,000 is 1% of the total amount. He received 1% more. Think of this in terms of money right now, just now. What do we have to do to show the fact that Mr. A has $1 more than Mr. B? I cannot take $1 from B and give it to A. That will give me a difference of $2. What we need to do here is this. Don't take $1 from this guy. Take 50 cents from him. Take 50 cents from him, leaving him with the $49.50, and give the 50 cents to this guy. Take it from Mr. B and give it to Mr. A, and now Mr. A has 50.5%, Mr. B has 49.5%, hence a difference of 1%. We knew that A got 1% more than B. Therefore, not A rather, we knew that candidate 1 got 1% more than candidate B. Therefore, 100% of the total votes. Therefore, 1 must have received 50.5% of the vote. 50.5% of the vote, and 2 must have received 49.5% of the vote. Not 51%. 51% would give us a difference of 2, as we just saw. That's it, we are done. As I said, these are nasty questions. Nasty in the sense that you have to think about it, you have to slow down, you have to take your time. Otherwise, you will fall in the trap. There is always the one answer that is very tempting. As soon as we arrive at the fact that candidate 1 received 1% more than candidate B did, our instinct tells us, well, he received 51%. No. If he received 51%, then B must have received 49%. That's the difference of 2, not 1. Do you understand? So first candidate received not 51%, but 50.5%. The answer is C. The answer is C. I will see you tomorrow, okay? Bye now.